Hello, my name's Dr. Chris Lawrence. I'm from the School of Software and the Faculty of Engineering and IT. I'm a Noongar from Perth originally, and I just want to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. Pay my respects to them. I also want to acknowledge UMob and talk about thismymob, which is about digital land rights and reconnecting Indigenous communities. And I think, as I was sitting there thinking, listening to the other speakers present, wondering now how am I going to put all this into 5 minutes, I guess it's really about thinking about how technology and engineering can help play a part in closing the gap for Indigenous Australians to improve health and wellbeing. And I was I was kind of working out after I did finish my PhD what I was going to do and think about how I was going to apply all my research, health research, into practice. And so thinking about technology and engineering, I started thinking about my own people, because Indigenous Australians were the first engineers and technologists of this land, and we survived for thousands and thousands of years. And we created so many different types of tools for that survival. And I always think, well, if anybody can pick up a piece of stick and throw it and make it come back, it's got to be pretty intelligent and genius. So that's the boomerang, in case you didn't know that one. So thismymob really came to me, and this is actually part of an Australian Research Council funding through the Indigenous scheme, Indigenous Discovery Scheme. And it really was a collaboration between myself and my Melbourne University colleagues who I'm working with, and through the School of Software, my colleague there, Dr. Tak Leong, and also I know that our other colleague is here, Professor Valerie Gay. And it's really about bringing together all the expertise that is needed to really understand technology and innovation and the connectiveness of that in Indigenous communities. And thinking about digital land rights as a bit of a metaphor in terms of how Indigenous Australians actually feel in their own land about being citizens and being recognised, and the Australian Constitution is one of those important things. And this is kind of really going to give Indigenous Australians a voice in the virtual world, and creating our own sense of space and our own safe platform where we can actually connect with each other and be proud of being Indigenous, and also about sharing our knowledges and our ideas and about what we think about going forward in this country. But also it's an opportunity where non-Indigenous people can connect. So there will be a platform where it's a bit of a portal. So there's kind of two arms to thismymob. It is an app. I should go to the next slide. It is an app that reconnects Indigenous Australians that is being designed and built with and for Indigenous Australians. These are some of the communities that we're working with. This is one in Western Australia, a remote community. It takes about 3-4 hours to get there, depending on who's driving. And that's a community called Lombardina, and it's on the Cape Leveque Road. And I know some of the mob there, and that's how we because I'm obviously from WA, but also wanting to understand how we can reach these communities in real time, and also how they can reconnect and connect with other Indigenous Australians. This is Bathurst Island mob, and they were really, I guess, both the groups, but they were quite different. Obviously, in Indigenous Australians, we are very different in our own communities and cultural ways. And this mob really kind of challenged us about how do we incorporate Indigenous identity into this app. And they talked about their moiety, which is about their identity, and that includes their languages and their totems and their relationships. And it's very complex, but it's very rewarding. And so the software developers there, Tak, who I work with from UTS, and Dr. Greg Wadley from Melbourne Uni, who are designing the technology, were kind of very overwhelmed by the kind of complexities of Indigenous so far. I mean, these are only 2 groups. I fly out shortly to Melbourne to another group that we're meeting with tomorrow, and then we've got another meeting here next month with the Sydney mob, who are helping us to design this app. Getting there. The reason why we're doing this is because of this, partly. This was back in 2015 and was about an app called Survival 3 Australia, and it was about how you could bludgeon to death an Aborigine by buying this game that was available on some of the big tech company names, who I won't name. Some of them we're partnering with now. And so, this is really about the developers and understanding that developers need to understand, or whoever is developing technology needs to understand who the end users are. So that's really what this is about. And there's a whole range of other different, I guess, meaningful outcomes that this research will bring. And that's my details. Thank you.